So just did a run with this build with Vi, and we'll do a quick breakdown here, take a look at what other builds could be successful with her. So first of all, her star powers. She has, from her 1-star, when you draw a card, your strongest ally gets +0/+1 and 1 impact. That gets upgraded with your 3-star, which makes it so when you draw a card, your strongest ally gets +0/+2 and 2 impact. So just a lot of health scaling and a lot of impact damage. That's what our build that I did on the run before this, that's what it was focused on. Worked out quite well, actually. The 2-star is pretty nice. Game start, you draw 2 cards that cost 2 or less. This is even better if you get a power or something like that that starts you with a unit on the board. Then this will automatically, give those units that, or one of the strongest unit you have on the board will get plus, I guess you're drawing 3 cards at the start because you also have your standard draw. So to get +0/+6 and 6 impact, which is pretty great for just being able to attack in and do a whole bunch of damage right off the start. So highly recommend if you see a power that starts you with a unit that you pick that up with Vi. She has Crush as her 4-star, so your allies have Overwhelm. Quite nice if you're able to scale up your attack power. Unfortunately, this scales your health, so it's, unless you're using Strength of Stone or something like that, you're, still going to have to look for ways to scale your power. You do get power scaling from her 6-star. This makes it so when you play a card, your allies in hand get +1/+0. So if you're playing a lot of cards, you can beef up your hand quite a bit and then drop those big units and benefit from that. So game start, getting a mana gem from her 5-star, just nice, standard mana gem stuff. She has from her bonus stars that her support champions get Wriggle's Lantern. This is sort of one of the worst relics or whatever in the game, in my opinion. So, really not that big of a bonus to give your support champions this. But if you are focusing on impact damage and you keep your champions in hand for 5 rounds, you can get up to 10 impact. So that can be okay, but yeah, typically you don't want to be sitting around for a bunch of rounds with your champions in hand in order to get that benefit. So this is nice though. Followers you acquire in adventures that cost 4 or more have ancient coins, so it makes them 1 cheaper. That's quite nice. Mushroom Cloud having Mana Potion is good just because you do have some ways to generate Mushroom Clouds in your base deck. So being able to play that out for free once you get those, pretty nice. That's just counts as more cards played. That'll scale your Vi a lot quicker to get her power, as well as if you have her 6-star, that'll scale that for the other characters in your hand quite a bit. So let's take a look at Vi herself. She has, when I'm in hand or in play, you grant her +1/+0 when you play another card, and that goes up to a max of +8/+0. So she can end up as a 10/4 when you get to that. Then this benefits her for her champion relic that, if you buy her bundle, you get this, is Cease and Desist, which gives her +3 impact, and if you have 10+ power, you get Barrier and you start a free attack challenging the strongest enemy. So that will also level her up, which if she strikes something for 10+ damage in 1 strike, she levels up. And then from there on out, whenever she strikes a unit while attacking, she deals damage through to the Nexus. So I wouldn't say she's really the strongest in this sense, but we'll look at ways that we can leverage her, attacking in, potentially attacking in multiple times. She does not have quick attack or anything, so any way to defend herself when she's attacking in. So Normally, you'll want to look for some way to have her survive if you're focused on her scaling. You can just focus on the general deck scaling or impact like we were with this build. So her starting deck, nothing too crazy out there. She has some stuff. Most of her things have a decent amount of card draw, like this draws you a spell, refills some mana. This scales off your card draw. You get more attack power with each card drawn. This also draws you cards. As we were talking about earlier, the mushroom clouds. This one creates some mushroom clouds, so just more cards you can play. This is cheaper when you draw it. Same with Gotcha. So a lot of her stuff is focused around card draw. That's why for the build we were running both Deck of Destiny. This creates a 1-cost wild card in your deck for every 7 cards that you have in your deck. So we created a whole bunch of wild cards in our deck. These cost 1, so you can just sort of cycle them. You can end up drawing a card, getting a spell mana, and that will buff up your board from your 3-star. You'll get that +0, +2, and 2 impact, so you can scale a lot of impact onto your board. Same with Searing Brilliance. This can hit any of the spells in your deck, as well as this Deck of Destiny, as long as you have it ordered this way. So Deck of Destiny first, and then Searing Brilliance. That will make it so you can hit this wild card with Searing Brilliance. We did find out during our play that the copies that get created by Searing Brilliance don't get this create a 1-cost wild card reduction. So kind of weird. They so the ones created by Searing Brilliance cost 1, but the ones created by Deck of Destiny cost 0. So just kind of interesting there. But overall, still pretty good. You can draw multiple cards, and you can use it for its other effects like the stun and whatnot if you want, and still draw cards if you hit it with Searing Brilliance. So pretty interesting there. But let's look at other things you can use. If you want to focus more on Vi and combat, something I highly recommend is, if you have it, Death's Foil. This will make it so when she's attacking, she can't take damage and die. Helps protect her, so you can attack in with her more, and you don't have to worry about her dying. If you don't have Death's Foil, then the Storm Razor. This gives you quick attack. Very helpful for making sure that she is able to survive when she's attacking in, and that you can benefit from that. If you have her 4-star, she's already going to have Overwhelm, so you don't need to worry about getting Overwhelm. But you can get this benefit of striking units while attacking, and she won't die, hopefully. So yeah, that should be quite good for her. But obviously, the Death's Foil's a better version of that for you. Then more sort of combat stuff, Chosen by the Stars, always a good option. This also can get you regeneration. You can have quite a few created cards from her deck, so created cards will scale her power even more. And if you attack into stuff that has low enough attack, and so she's able to survive with her tough, and if she's leveled up, she'll have effectively like 6 health. As long as you attack things that have less than 6 health, you get the regeneration, so you'll be able to regenerate. Not quite as much synergy with this, just because you already have Overwhelm, you already have Challenger. But yeah, this is a reasonable way to scale her. It can work out quite well from a combat perspective. She benefits from standard attack in stuff, so Living Weapon or Fear Cleaving Axe, both of these are fine. You want to be attacking in, boosting her up pretty good. Nothing too crazy with that though. So in her deck, she does have Gotcha is the 4-cost. So if you were to use Found Fortune, this would draw you a card. So it does give you that benefit of her 3-star. Isn't a huge benefit, but you would most likely, when you drop her, she's going to be the strongest unit. So this would give her another +0, +2 and 2 more impact. And then you can also play that gotcha for some removal. So can be helpful to do something like this, just, looking at more ways to draw cards and benefit from her 3-star power there. Then one of the things I've commonly used on her is Packed Powder. This just, because you're attacking in with impact pretty often, you can get more reduction on her. You'll get this +1/+1. Helps get her to that 10 power for Cease and Desist earlier, and you can potentially drop her for 3 mana instead of 5 mana. So quite nice to use the Packed Powder, just because you are guaranteed to get more hits into their Nexus and get that scaling, provided you can attack in and whatnot. As I showed with the build previously, Searing Brilliance can be nice. That just draws you more cards, gets you more benefit from her 3-star. You can get her to Starforged, but I personally wouldn't really recommend it. It'd be pretty difficult. You have to use either Luminous Orb plus something else in order to get her to 8. It's, you can find something else that gives her +1/+1, like the Deck of Destiny. That just gives you a +1/+1 as well. So you could do something like this. But personally, I don't think building her around Starforged Gauntlets, you're sacrificing a lot to try to get her to get this extra 1 mana gem. So personally, wouldn't really say this is the strongest way to go, but it is an option if you are highly valuing mana gems and you want to be able to drop her earlier on. Typically, you're wanting to play a lot of cards before you drop her so that you scale up her power. So yeah, that's why that typically you would go for. You can use Strength of Stone. A lot of her deck scales more with attack power, and especially if you have her 6-star, then you definitely don't want to use this. But if you're only up to her 3-star, this can be good because you can focus more on drawing cards. You'll get a lot of extra defense on your units just by drawing, and then when you attack in, they're going to do a bunch more damage with that. But it's only 1 unit that scales with it, so I wouldn't say this is particularly strong, but you can mess around with it. Last run I did, I had some units that were getting, 40 plus health on them. So, you're attacking in with 40 plus health and Overwhelm, you're going to be doing a ton of damage to their Nexus. So it certainly can work, but yeah, it's, not the easiest thing to get going with. On her spell side, I wouldn't say there's anything particular around her spells. There's, beyond the general, just trying to draw more cards. This draws champions, and neither of her other cards have draw on them in terms of the base spell. So because of that, without Searing Brilliance, I don't think focusing on any of her spells, like trying to get Archangel Staff or anything like that going. She does have her Champion spell, which is a 3-cost Champion spell. You could reduce this by using Echoing Spirit on her. That just makes it a 2-cost. There isn't really any way to get it down any lower than that. So it's not like you can go infinite. It does, every time you use Vault Breaker, it creates a new Vault Breaker in your hand. So getting the cost reduction on it can be nice just to make it cheaper. Unless you draft powers that give you created cards cost less or spells cost less, it's going to be difficult to use a ton of them. So I wouldn't particularly say, okay, Archangel Staff or Chemtech Duplicator or something like that is going to be amazing on her. Trying to play around her champion spell isn't going to do a whole lot, but yeah, you can mess around with it if you want to. I wouldn't say there's too much particular about the combat relics. Pretty much standard stuff is going to be good on her. Stalker's Blade can be quite good if you're just using blue relics. This will make sure that, if you have her up to 10 power, you drop her, she'll level up right away, striking multiple units for 10 damage. It's really strong. So definitely highly recommend Stalker's Blades on her. You can also use the Curator's Gatebreaker, especially if you have her 6-star. Then you can focus more on just playing lots of cards and getting her power up. And then when you drop her, you're just trying to one-shot their Nexus. So you're scaling both from her own scaling and from her 6-star. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend running Curator's Gatebreaker unless you have her 6-star. Yeah, just because this will reduce her power below 10. It'll make it impossible for her to level up if you don't have her 6-star to also scale her power or get her power through some other means, like you get other items on her or something like that get her power up so that she can actually level. Yeah, you could do, say, if you have like packed powder or other stuff like that, that's going to be scaling her power, or you use other relics that give her plus power, you can still hit that 10 requirement, so it can be okay. But yeah, I would certainly say this is more for her 6-star. Then yeah, as long as you have her 4-star, Overwhelm is going to have very little value. But if you don't have her 4-star, picking up Overwhelm, very worthwhile, especially since she has a lot of attack damage. Having a way of getting that in there is good. So that's mostly it. Spell Shield, of course, always good. Ginsu's Rage Blade, standard combat relics. Storm Razor, very good on her, as we talked about, to keep her safe when you're attacking in. So that's about it. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions about her. I don't play her as much, so I probably won't have as much knowledge in terms of what other things are really the best on her. But yeah, if you want to see any other champions, happy to go through them. Just let me know and I'll do a breakdown. So hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next time.